Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha. This will not be a video discussing any new topics on the aisle, nor is it one of my standard videos. It is me taking some time to discuss some of the comments and social media interactions I've had surrounding my most recent video. Now, if this is not your cup of tea and not something that you're interested in, I at least wanted to make sure you were aware before I wasted someone's time. That said, there will be three primary areas of discussion: the YouTube comments, Twitter, and then a special segment for GrimXD, Grimsmile, Grimmist? I'll just call him Grim. But to start things off, I thought I would respond to the single most commented on point within the previous video. In that, I referred to the streamer I'mACutiePie as I'mActPie. And while at least some of the commenters realized I was having a bit of a jest there with his name, a great many people did not. But yes, I am well aware that his channel name is pronounced I'mACutiePie. Now, I've seen a lot of good points and a lot of bad points, along with people appearing to act in bad faith within the comments section. This is, unsurprisingly, quite normal. There's a reason why YouTube comments are quite commonly referred to as toxic cesspools where reason goes to die. Still, I do tend to find value in a lot of comments, and sometimes I find additional insights, different ways of thinking, and random bits of reasoned discourse, and I really enjoy that. It's actually why I continue to read the comments on my videos. However, I wanted to take some time to discuss some of the more negative comments that followed along a specific theme, such as KRI Headquarters writing, "Oh geez, like bitching about one game out of millions makes you any better. Sounds like an easy grift off of a popular game whose devs have been having a bad year. Money's money, I guess. Real gamers don't bitch, they just play." Now, laying its highly reductive mentality aside, this person clearly knows nothing about my channel. Instead of engaging with any of the talking points, they instead attempt to unperson me and my channel by making the rather broad-stroke accusation that my sole driving purpose is to make money at any cost. That greed is my only motivating factor. And to that, I would simply say this. 2 weeks of my life having discussions and verifying identities and employment histories along with corroborating people's stories, that consumed approximately 70 hours of my life. Then, compiling all the information into something coherent even before recording the video took another 20-odd hours. For the sake of ease, I'll just round down. Then another 18 hours recording and editing the video. So, rough guess would be 108 to 110 hours. Let's just round that down to 100. Now, the Isle video earned me a very decent sum of money in terms of ad revenue, in all honesty, $270 actually. However, the amount of time invested means that my video earned me, and bear in mind we were rounding down on the hours, $2.70 per hour of work for that video. So if greed was my primary or sole motivating factor, I would have been better off getting a second job at a fast food joint such as McDonald's or Burger King. And it sounds a bit foolish to assume it's all about the money when the money, well, it just isn't there. And then there was that last bit where they said, real gamers don't bitch, they just play. And all I can really say to that is that Electronic Arts must absolutely adore this person. Don't strive for higher standards or higher quality, don't strive to push the developers to keep them from driving themselves off of a cliff, no, just consume silently, wait for the next product to come out, and then silently consume more. That is an exceptionally foolish mentality to have. Osides, spelled with 2 Ds for a double dose of his comment lovin', wrote, "Please do your research fully next time, Sid. I usually agree with you on these, but most features you claim were never added were added at one point but were removed to work them better since hypos and other mutations were extremely overpowered and being a human in the game just wasn't working quite well and needed a rework. As for your points on the allegations against the member of his team, allegations like this are damning, and look at the amount of people's lives ruined by hearsay, only to be proven to be baseless lies." Now this person is absolutely correct. However, with the humans, one faction was in the game for, how long was it? 2 weeks? 3? And that was also 2 or 3 years ago, if I recall correctly. And they haven't been added back since. That is not an implemented feature at that point. It is a test, and apparently a failed one. The same with the hypos, although those are still available to certain content creators provided by the developers as a means of generating hype, even though those evolutions are not available to the general public. Again, at that point, that is not an implemented feature of the game, merely a marketing tool. So my point stands that these features were never actually implemented within the game. Now, the part about such allegations being damning and ruining people's lives, I will say this, and this is something I've always been vocal about. Now, I've spoken at length to the girls about pressing charges against Paradigm Shift because with a situation such as this, I feel that both parties are owed their day in court. If he is guilty, let him suffer the legal consequences. If he is innocent, let him have the opportunity to clear his name once and for all. And I don't think that is a controversial standing to take. Now, in terms of my initial video on Paradigm Shift and my utter disbelief at how Afterthought LLC were initially handling the situation, I never wanted a knee-jerk reaction such as firing him outright or asking him to quit. What I wanted was for these allegations, as they seemed to be extremely credible in my eyes, to actually be taken seriously by the developers and properly looked into, which wasn't happening in the slightest. Clorp asked a very good question. Has anyone ever made it off the Dirty Devs list, or is it impossible to? And yes, of course it's possible. 2 developers have actually managed to do so. The first one to do it was the game Devoid of Shadows, developed by Endgame Studios and 16 Squares. Now, I produced a video on that subject as well as a Steam user review where I wrote, as a result of the developers' continued good faith actions, their decrease of the price of the game to an acceptable level, and their continued efforts to patch their game, I am altering my review to one of positivity. These developers have worked hard to repair the damage to their reputation caused by their former English translator. This game, while still far from perfect, is now in line with its price point, and I do feel comfortable recommending it to my viewers. Great job all around, and I hope to see bigger and better things from these developers. And the second game to do so was Hell of Men Blood Brothers, developed by Wacky Squad Studio. Now, I produced a video on that one as well, and in the Steam user review for that game, I wrote, due to the developers' continued willingness to be open to critique, with regular and frequent updates to the game, and the clear passion the developer has exhibited, I am changing my review from negative to positive, and I've released a video discussing the past actions and the developer's continued pursuit of improving his game. The game is much improved from where it was 7 months ago. It still has a long way to go, but if the developer continues to keep up his hard work, I have confidence in this project. And continue he has. And that is a hope for every game developer that finds their way onto this list, even Afterthought LLC in the Isle. It is not an end-all be-all, nor was it ever intended to be. Yes, I can get extremely heated at times, but it is my hope that the subjects of these videos can learn from the mistakes presented within them, change, grow, and as a result, become a developer that is worthy of respect and who is more capable of creating a good game for everyone to enjoy. Mr. TMG wrote, "Oh my god, stop hating on a game that actually works and has players playing it." Yet another person that Electronic Arts would love to have around, I see. A Grandpa TNB Strategic Master wrote, "By saying it is a tech demo, you state that's how it is for everyone, which is incorrect as you don't speak on behalf of humanity." And the only thing I could say to Mr. Strategic Master here is to look up some definitions on what a game critique is. It is a subjective valuation on the game and presentation of the game to their viewers along with its mechanics, its story, and ultimately of its current merit within the eyes of the critic. While the critic should strive for objectivity, a game critique is and always will be a subjective endeavor. And no, by my stating that it is little better than a tech demo, I am not telling people how to think. Apologies, but you're simply incorrect. And our next commenters are actually a duo. A King Enderman wrote, "Gotta admit I took your first 2 videos seriously, but after the start of this video I need to take it with a large bucket of salt. 70 hours is a decent amount, sure, but nowhere near enough time to fully understand the game. From the anger at the start, I feel like you're trying to help drag the game that a lot of people love down the drain." And along with him, we have Spicy Main saying, "How can you judge a game with only 70 hours in it? What?" And to that I would say this. If a game's critic is incapable of deciphering the game's mechanics, which in terms of the Isle are extremely simplistic in nature, along with core features, map design, graphics, story, and stability within even 15 hours of gameplay, then that critic is completely incompetent. One need not spend hundreds or even thousands of hours on a game such as this to be able to formulate a reasoned critique. To even insinuate the necessity for such a thing outside of a game such as a large and extremely fleshed out MMO, which the Isle is not, is beyond ridiculous. Now, our first Twitterverse comment is from Oristrats, who wrote in response to my statement about the Isle's Discord circling the wagons, "Nah, a lot of people just think you're a joke now, and we're having a right ol' laugh over this about you." Hardly credible when you take only one half of the story to push whatever agenda you have against it and not the other half, aka talk to ex-devs only and not current ones. And I've seen a few people ask why I didn't reach out to any of the current developers, and the reason is actually because of the PR team. The PR team asked that any and all communications go through them, meaning if I were to reach out to any of the current developers, that would most likely result in a politely worded email from the PR team asking me to stop. And if I had then persisted in attempting to reach out to current developers, that would be grounds for harassment and a potential harassment lawsuit. Now, of course, I would be extremely open to speak with any current developers. However, due to that restriction, I'm afraid that I can't instigate such a conversation. It would be up to those that would wish to speak to me to reach out to me. And then there was the Twitter user Mother of Dinos, who was somehow attempting to argue against a point that I never even made within my video, where she stated, "Love how one of the biggest rumors about my time on the team was on here and all of the context from it stripped, lol. Journalism requires facts and looking at both sides, and this is so far from that to be laughable. Christ, this feels like a Keemstar vid." The thing about female devs, contributors, moderators being pressured to date Dawn, etc., it started when I was added to the team to work on the Allosaurus. That was a rumor on the old Discord back in March of 2016, laughing my fucking ass off. It was entirely bullshit and a running joke with Dawn and I. And of course, nowhere within that video did I discuss or even claim that Dondi was pressuring employees into dating him. Also, as I have previously stated, all the information that it included in that video was independently corroborated by at minimum 2 other sources, and many had 3 or more. This is quite literally a straw man argument. And just so we're clear, the best definition of a straw man argument actually came from Excelsior College, where they state, "A straw man fallacy occurs when someone takes another person's argument or point, distorts it or exaggerates it in some kind of extreme way, and then attacks the extreme distortion, as if that is really the claim the person is making." This Mother of Dinos continued by claiming, "It was mentioned around the time he talked about the old Discord being deleted, that he was dipping his pen in Company Inc. The only person who had relations with multiple other devs was Deathly, who was involved with Levia and possibly Jiggy." Which, hold on a minute. I thought Mother of Dinos had just said that Dondi pressuring women into dating him was the joke. Dipping his pen in the Company Inc., or rather dating his employees or staff, is not pressuring women. Nowhere in the video did I state that or even allude to it. I was speaking to what I was presented with, which was his seeing multiple women at the same time, freaking out once his ex found out and deleted the Discord in 2018 as part of that freakout. And I don't necessarily mind this person coming after me, but I would prefer it if they were at least capable of utilizing facts and actual information to do so. And in response to one person asking if I had blocked Mother of Dinos, which I still haven't by the way, although it appears this person had me muted so they were incapable of even seeing any of my responses, said he hasn't reached out to verify anything despite being a former dev, mod, and contributor, so I'm pretty sure anything I have to say isn't good enough of a source, lol. Which brought things into clarity for me. This person was upset that I didn't reach out to her personally. Not that I even know who this person is. However, given her points were a foolish straw man, I really don't have much faith in what this person could contribute by way of information based on these claims. I would be open to listen, I always am after all, but considering this person has already acted in bad faith, any such information they could provide would be regarded by me at a much higher level of suspicion. One thing that is always enjoyable is when you see overly invested fans of a game attempt to construct no true Scotsman arguments against you. And I was directed to Grim's livestream a few days back where, in all actuality, he had made a large number of good points, and because of that, I will link the full VOD in the pinned comment down below. He's a bit off on some things, but a lot of his concerns with the recent roadmap and with Everma itself I found no fault in whatsoever. So let's look at the first clip where he was talking about little old me.
Talking to these YouTubers that proudly exclaim, and this is my favorite, he knows what the game is. He's got 70 hours in it. "70 hours. He knows exactly what the game is. 2800. You don't know shit.
which this is just laughable at best. Now, as I said before, if a game's critic is incapable of discerning the game's mechanics, its story, playability, stability, and all of that in even 15 hours, because the Isle is not at all what one would call complex, then they have no business in the industry. Grim is making an argument here where if anyone doesn't have comparable playtime within the game to him, then they have no idea what they are talking about and are incapable of critiquing the game or its developers. A similar argument would be, I'm older, therefore I'm wiser. Now, age does not necessarily beget wisdom or greater understanding. Much as spending thousands of hours in the game, while it can provide a more nuanced understanding of in-game minutiae, such as precise knowledge on hitbox locations and the like, memorized growth times, and so on and so forth, it would in no way invalidate a critique of the game where the gameplay exceeds the length of most current game titles, especially considering that the Isle's game mechanics and depth are as shallow as a puddle on a hot summer's day. Well, let's continue on with the next clip.
How about listening to the people that are actually playing it? Not the fucking YouTuber that has 70 hours and feels that he understands the game now. Don't listen to that fucking guy. He's a hardcore player, though. You know, I saw him run around for 40 fucking minutes wasting my fucking time. Yeah, listen to that guy. He's the one that's important. Don't listen to Grim. He's too passionate.
Now, I found this part amusing because I'm struggling to recall where I've ever claimed, implied, or insinuated that I was a quote-unquote hardcore player of the Isle. This was so completely laughable to me that I put it out there for Grim that if he could show me where I made any such claim, I would donate $1,000 to the charity of his choice. But at the same time, the developers are ignoring this overly invested fan of the game because they probably feel he's a gigantic pain in the ass, and because of that, he's feeling a little bit butthurt, a touch salty. Now, the next clip, I actually agree with the first half of it, but again, he ruins it with egotistical tribalism.
Again, your PR is garbage, and you gotta listen to your community. And I don't want to make these fucking things because I can't rely on the fucking YouTubers to make a statement like this. Because they don't give a shit. They're just racking in ad revenue from clickbait fucking videos and just playing fucking Bird Bath Simulator on Care Bear servers. They ain't playing survival.
And he's right. The public roadmap, while it would be a nice thing for the players to have if it were implemented properly, is a complete joke and provides no real meaningful information in terms of addressing new features or even stabilizing Evrima, which, again, I agree with Grim that they should do that before they start adding on a ton of AI that will bog the system down even further and make those issues even more pronounced. But then he completely ruined his own argument by unpersoning any content creator by labeling them as clickbaiters and playing Bird Bath Simulator because he is the one that should be listened to, because he plays survival, he's hardcore, and therefore his is the only opinion worth listening to.
I'll show them. I'll prove that I can be hardcore.
But while I know I was giving Grim a bit of a rough time, I thought I would show a clip of him that I do completely agree with without reservation.
You be a thin-skinned little Nancy boy while you're fucking developing your dino game. Go to somebody else. But at least listen to them. I want what's best for this game, but what's best for this game is not this fucking roadmap. Fix your face. Listen to the community, please.
And here, he is absolutely correct. And I've said as much that while the Isle developers do try to listen to their community, although I do firmly believe that they're only listening to certain portions of their community, they are listening to the wrong things, and this roadmap, such as it is laughable. And if they're going to release a proper roadmap, that would be helpful. With bug fixes being worked on, planned feature implementation, and estimated completion dates, but it would seem that they are incapable of doing that because such a thing would actually require a plan, which I have my doubts that they even have one. But that's all I really have for everyone. I felt this would be interesting to discuss some of the talking points being made and show where I agreed and where I disagreed, as well as show how utterly ridiculous in nature some of the arguments made against my video actually were, because let's face it, the developers and the game will never change unless significant enough pressure is placed on them to do so. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and I'll see you next time.